A few years ago, I reviewed a game called Velocity 2X, a vertical shoot-'em-up with an ingenious gimmick that had players teleporting around the screen with the touch of a button. I loved the concept and everything Future Lab did with it, but wished that somebody would transplant the mechanics into a side-scrolling horizontal shooter. Well, it looks like Japanese developer Astro Port has done just that, and Zangeki Warp proves to be an engaging little action game that oozes 16-bit charm. The story sees the galactic civilization facing annihilation from an unexpected foe. After an evil genius scientist creates a swarm of bug-eyed monsters, the Super Electric Research Center sends the Zan fighter to the fortress to lay down the law, 2D shoot-'em-up style. This simple setup sends us through a half-dozen retro-inspired stages, full of bullets and bad guys. The gimmick here is that the player will be able to literally stop time and warp to different parts of the stage. This can be used for everything from escaping bullets to flying through walls, as well as killing any of the enemies that get in the way. But the warp juice is not unlimited, and the Zan fighter will need to recharge between teleports. It's a tricky balance that'll make you feel super powered and helpless all within the span of a few seconds. As you can probably already imagine, Zangeki Warp has crafted its level designs around your unique skills. The game is full of walls and obstacles you'll need to warp through, as well as bosses that can only be defeated from some well-timed teleports. I like that the levels don't just go from left to right, but will occasionally scroll up and down, often putting the enemies behind the player. It never veers too far from the tried and true shoot-'em-up formula, but still manages to feel fresh. Part of the reason why this works so well is because Astro Port knows how to make a good, old-fashioned shooter. While not a household name, the company has spent the last 6 years honing their skills with games like Wolfflame, Steel Strider, and Gigantic Army. Zangeki Warp is one of their best, and it's a great starting point for anybody new to the company. I'm impressed with the variety of level designs, the different endings, and the multiple bosses found in each stage. There's a lot to like here. Unfortunately, there are a couple things I absolutely don't like about Zangeki Warp. For one thing, the difficulty spike in the last few levels is a real eye-opener. It goes from being almost too easy to frustratingly difficult in the blink of an eye. This is partially caused by some annoying checkpoints, which can often feel a little too far apart. This issue is only made worse by the many cheap deaths you'll face while taking on the bug-eyed monsters. It's not the bullets that end up being the problem. I'm used to that in a 2D shoot-'em-up. The problem here is that the enemies will constantly fly into you from off-screen. There's no warning, which can make parts of this game feel unfair. This is especially true with the boss battles. You'll not only have to memorize enemy patterns in order to beat the game, but also be a little lucky. Zangeki Warp is also a bit on the short side, a criticism that can be leveled against most retro-inspired shoot-'em-ups. The game does offer a few extra difficulties and modes, but it would have been nice to have a few more levels. There remains a lot of potential in this cool mechanic, so I hope Astro Port revisits the concept in the future. Although the graphics are a little plain and the difficulty spikes at the very end, I had a lot of fun flying through the swarms of bug-eyed monsters. Zangeki Warp has a cool gimmick that I want to see more of in shoot-'em-ups, and I like the way they incorporate the teleporting into the level designs. It's short, and the cheap hits hold it back, but Astro Port's newest shooter is a great twist on the old-school formula. Hey, thanks for watching our review. I'm really into these Astro Port games, and I can't wait for the next one. I also can't wait to talk about all the delicate duplicates, Clash Cup Turbo, Mall Empire, and Dad Quest, all in the coming days. And if you haven't watched it already, then I recommend you check out this week's episode of Trivia Gate. This is a good one that includes launch games, obscure consoles, movies based on games, and more. If you like video games and answering trivia questions, then you'll dig Trivia Gate. I also recommend you click the subscribe button and support what we're doing here. Until then.